Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Nande Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestaya
Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Nande Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestaya
Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Nande Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestaya
Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Nande Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestaya
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Narayana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Narayana
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Narayana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Narayana
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Narayana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Narayana
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Narayana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Narayana
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Narayana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Narayana
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Narayana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Narayana
Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Videko Bhakta Vrinda
Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Vasudeva Bhakta Vrinda
Gopala Govinda Rama
Hari Om Krishna
Madana Mohana
Krishna
Gopala Govinda Rama
Hari Om Krishna
Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama
Hari Om Krishna
Madana Mohana
Hari Om Krishna
Gopala Govinda Rama
Hari Om Krishna
Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama
Hari Om Krishna
Madana Mohana
Hari Om Krishna
Gopala Govinda Rama
Hari Om Krishna
Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama
Hari Om Krishna
Madana Mohana
Hari Om Krishna
Gopala Govinda Rama
Hari Om Krishna
Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama
Hari Om Krishna
Madana Mohana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama
Krsna
Madana Mohana
Krsna
Gopala Govinda Rama
Krsna
Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama
Krsna
Madana Mohana
Krsna
Gopala Govinda Rama
Krsna
Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama
Krsna
Madana Mohana
Krsna
Gopala Govinda Rama
Krsna
Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Jaya Jaya Gurudev
Krsna
Jaya Jaya Gauranga
Krsna
Jaya Jaya Gurudev
Krsna
Jaya Jaya Gauranga
Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gauranga Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gauranga
Jaya Jaya Shila Prabhupada
Krsna
Jaya Jaya Gurudev
Krsna
Jaya Jaya Shila Prabhupada
Krsna
Jaya Jaya Gurudev
Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev
Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Ora Karuna Swarupaya Hare Krishna Prasaya
Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Gaura Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prasayate
Haribol, Krishna Haribol. Kahapon, diniscuss natin yung meditation. So ngayon, binasa ko yung tungkol sa isang Brahmana who is a devotee of Krishna. He's not rich, he's very poor, pero hindi siya anxiety, hindi siya anxious ba? Hindi siya mag-uul, wala siyang pangamba. Kasi alam niya, kaya siya nasa sitwasyon na yon because of his past karma. Okay? So, kaya ko diniscuss to kasi para magkaroon tayo ng clarity kung ano yung situation natin. Dinescribe tong material world as a jungle of material life. Okay? This place, yung jungle, pag sinabi yung jungle, hindi lang yung ganyan, yung forest. Jungle. Nakapunta na ba kayo sa jungle? Wala pa, no? So makita nyo yung jungle, yung puno halos dikit-dikit, hindi pumapasok yung araw, na? Tapos puro tinik, ay yung mga palasan, mga ratan nandun, puro tinik yun eh. Tapos may mga may mga plants doon na na poison ivy. So pagpapasok ka sa jungle na yun, ang hirap. Lalo na kung bulag ka. Hindi lang yun, maraming linta. Alam niyo yung linta? Sa jungle maraming linta eh. Liches ba? Yung musuyob dugo. Alimatuk. Pag pumunta kayo sa jungle, halimbawa before hindi pa talaga kalbo yung mangal ng Mount Halcon sa Mindoro, ganun yung makikita nyo, yung puno ang lalaki. Halos para makross nyo yung jungle, ang hirap. Pag pinag-usapan natin yung green jungle sa South America, at least magkaroon ko yung idea na yung jungle ang hirap pasukin, lalo na kung bulag tayo. Na? So ngayon, kaya ko in-example yun, hinalimbawa, kasi nga, kung nag-identify ka sa body, mag-identify ka sa mind mo, sa desire sa mind mo. Okay? Yung anger, yung lust, yung greed, yung desire to find satisfaction, maghanap ka ng kaligayahan sa mundong to, connected with experience of the senses. So, ang problem talaga natin is we are self-centered. Iniisip lang natin tayo, kaligayahan natin. Pero dahil nga we are blind spiritually at nag-identify tayo sa body, then we have a problem. Kasi we are desire-driven. So, hindi mo lang yung sa mind mo. Kaya lahat ng ginagawa natin, it's all about paano makaikyas sa problema natin. Hindi mo iniisip, mahalin ang Diyos. Kaya lang, kung mayroon mang pagkakataon na magdasal ka, humihingi ka na tulungan ka ng Diyos, magawa mo yung gusto mo. Okay? So, hindi yon pure meditation in devotional service. Ang pinag-usapan natin dito, yung process wherein the person becomes free from this jungle. Kasi makikita man natin dito. So, when you come in contact with the representative of God, the spiritual master, He's able to guide you. In the beginning, mahirap kasi you're not in control of your senses. You're desire-driven. Kaya hindi ka makalabas sa jungle. At hindi lang yon, may sarili kang formula. Ano yung sarili natin formula? Kung anong gusto natin. To do our own will. But because we are not all-powerful, we're not self-sufficient, kung ganon yung focus natin, yung false ego, to find happiness all by yourself, selfishness, then forget about getting relief or be relieved from this jungle of material life. You'll be burning. Kaya hindi ka makalabas. Makita mo man yan. Kasi hanggat yung isang individual, hindi niya naintindihan, na-realize yung transcendental nature niya as eternally the loving servant of God, and ang focus niya is to do the will of God, to please God, then yung consciousness niya is contaminated with materialism, the disease of materialism, identifying with the body and trying to control material nature. So yun ang problem. So pag when you come in contact with the spiritual master, he gives you guidance. He gives you a path. You do this. This is the formula. There is a process wherein you can cross the jungle. So makikita natin yun sa buhay natin every day. So ang question ngayon, tanungin natin sa sarili natin, you're eternal and you're trying to stay in this jungle of material life for so long because we want to do our own will. We cannot get out by our own power. Para kasing dinescribe ko parate, yung isang insect dumikit sa spider web, hindi siya makakalis. Somebody must get him out of that web. Cut yung shackle or yung anchor niya. Mahirap. Kaya kung by your own power, your own will, hindi kayo magsasucceed. Nobody will succeed. Because material nature is very powerful. And nasa consciousness ka to do your own will. Definitely, you will be under the influence of Maya. Mahamaya. Illusion. Yung devotee, influence siya ng Yoga Maya. Yoga Maya means devotional service. Yung heart niya, yung mind niya is to do the will of God. So doon natin machi-check yung sarili natin if we're making progress in spiritual life. If we're making progress towards the goal of life, which is to enter the world of pure devotional service. But in material contamination, it's not important to us because we're not in control of what we're doing. There is a force greater than us who is in control of our consciousness. And that consciousness is meditation upon me, my happiness. It's all about me. What I want to do. Then you end up miserable and frustrated. Intindihan niya? So yun yung path na pina-follow niyo. Okay? Kaya hindi ka pwedeng lumabas sa jungle eh. Kaya kung na-come in contact ka sa spiritual master, kay Krsna, yung maturity mo is that in the beginning, in a way, lagi kang pinagsasabihan. Lagi kang pinagsasabihan, huwag mong gawin yan, ganito, ganon. You become a burden. But in the long run, you will be able to see when you are in this humble state of consciousness. Pero when you're arrogant, every time na sabihin sa'yo ng spiritual master, gawin mo to, you rebel. Kasi you identify with what you want. And there's anger. There's anger. Galit ka. Kasi yung buong consciousness mo is all about you. And you become angry because your consciousness is all about doing what you want, and you're not all powerful, you're always frustrated. Because that is not our natural position and function to be playing, imitating God. So yun ang problem. So, when we come in contact with this purificatory process coming from the teachings of Lord Krsna, especially the spiritual master, we are guided now to follow a path, and that is connected with our meditation, our focus, what we should be doing, our quest, our endeavor, paano tayo magsasucceed. Kaya kung may guide ka na, kung bulag ka, mahirap sa jungle, may alimatok sa'yo, may kumakagat sa'yo, baka yakapin mo yung poison ivy, pag hawak mo, hindi lang yon, maraming predator doon. May cobra, may lion, may halas, may alupihan. Alam niyo alupihan? Anong alupihan sa Bisaya? Ha? Hindi, halas. Hindi, yung maraming paa na pagpaa ko nga. Centipede. Hindi millipede, centipede. Yung lahat yun sila poisonous. Pag kinagat ka nun, may poison. Tapos mayroon pa rin doon sa jungle, may mga tambubuan, malalaking bahay na. Pag yakap mo, tambubuan, di ka makaalis, bulag ka. Kaya ang nangyari, when you meditate upon this world, trying to control it, you're blind. Kaya you embrace something that will give you pain. Because you follow the desire in the mind with the promise na ma-enjoy mo. But because you're not matter, your life, definitely you will be frustrated. That's why we're all angry. Everybody here is an angry person because we are always frustrated. We cannot do our own will and we are not succeeding. And we try. Gagawin nyo, to the point na you're hurting yourself already. So, the reason I am discussing this with you is because you're given this opportunity to succeed in your quest, to be able to love the Supreme Person. But if you're given this guidance, and you're frustrated and angry, you cannot do your own will, and then you become arrogant, you begin to detest, detest whatever that will help you to get out of the jungle. Ayaw mo marinig. Ayaw mo ng association ng those who are getting out of the jungle. Kasi you want to do your own will. You're envious of God. That is very simple. Because we're envious of God, our vision, our heart is so hard because we're so frustrated and empty. And our direction for our quest to be satisfied is upon trying to control this material world. And the false ego that has encumbered us, identifying with the false ego, then it will be very hard for us. You're like a person who's blind, trying to get out of the jungle, and the predators are there. And actually, the predators are what your focus is, your mind, the enjoyment, the promise of the desire. In the mind, there are desires. What will make you happy? And not only that, it's not that when I speak about the animals in the jungle, it's like when you are in prison. You know what's in prison? Napreso ba? Napreso mo sa lawas, napreso pa mo sa mind. Napreso mo po sa false consciousness, contaminated consciousness of trying to find happiness where there is none, a different energy from you. And not only that, it's not yours. Nothing belongs to you. Everyone, living or non-living, belongs to God. So what will happen, because you're not self-sufficient, you try to find satisfaction by trying to embrace dead matter, then you're always frustrated and you'll be defeated always in your quest. You'll be staying in the jungle life after life. And it's an experience wherein you are now accountable and responsible for your actions. That's why I used to say, buntut mo, hila mo. Whatever you do, you're responsible for it. There's reaction. Okay? So I'll read here the meditation that is conducive for progress in spiritual life. Pinag-usapan natin dito, ano yung conducive? Kaya kung halimbawa may kasabihan, kasama mo mga magnanakaw, ang tendency, maging magnanakaw ka rin, di ba? Through your association, whom you associate, definitely we can understand and see what consciousness you have. Okay. So all of this is the discussion we're discussing is to be understood objectively, and as individual, subjectively, as an individual, you can assess if you're making progress towards loving God, doing the will of God. Okay? When you're out of the jungle, when you're free from anger, lust, and greed. Okay? So the advice here is that association is very important to be associating with the glories, the pastimes of the Supreme Person. Because the holy names and the pastimes of the Supreme Person are inseparable. Okay. To be able to make progress, to get out of the jungle, we must be listening and hearing and applying the process. Ngayon, sa buhay natin, sa buhay nyo ngayon, tayo, yung formula nyo is a concoction of what you're experiencing now. Kung ano na-experience nyo ngayon, it is the formula you followed. It is about the activities we did, engage in. Kaya yan ang result. So you have to subjectively analyze your situation and objectively understand how the process can help us get out of this jungle. And objectively, you must understand your situation. So, we are not here judging, oh, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. No. What we're saying is our situation, all of us. What hinders us from getting out of this jungle? It means you must make a decision. And the decision will be your meditation, will be the quest, will be the endeavor you will be engaging in to get out of the jungle. But if you're happy, if it's okay lang with you to be in the jungle drowning, then nothing we can do. Nothing we can do. But if you're given the opportunity to listen and understand this transcendental wisdom that is eternal, absolute, meaning it is about your true transcendental nature, it is about your true transcendental position as eternally the loving servant of God, and your activities in transcendental consciousness and action engage in pure loving devotional service. So it's not an easy task because we're in the jungle. We should get out of the jungle. First, we must purify our heart, our mind, because our focus, that's why we're suffering, is upon this dead world. Ito nyo, madali nyo ma-check. So kung ang meditation mo isang bagay, so I'll give you one example. For example, ngayon mga bata, talagang dream nyo magkaroon ng cellphone. Di ba? Touch kayo sa cellphone nyo, nasa bulsa nyo parate. Biglang nawala. What will you experience? Yun ang anxiety nyo, di ba? Malit ng bagay lang yun. What if, yung buong buhay mo, nag-identify ka sa body, nag-identify ka sa extended false ego mo, na another living entity in another body, if that person leaves, yung pain, hindi mo ma-explain basta-basta yun. Umalis yung nanay mo. Umalis. Nakita ba niyo yung may namatay? Paano nagligid-ligid yung mga tao na halos hilahin yung buhok nila. Ah! Anxiety. And not only that, the frustration within you, that because your focus in life is about this world and you're burning with anger and lust. That is the shackle. That is the imprisonment that we are in. And there is a way out. The transcendental science of yoga meditation, the sound meditation, which draws the mind away from matter. Because for so long, we have been identifying ourselves as this body. We are identifying with the desire, the mind, and trying to pursue a goal that is futile. Because we are a different energy from matter. Di ka sasaya. You'll not be happy. Okay? You're trying to embrace death every day. Diba? You're embracing death every day. Hug one another. So that is the problem. So I'll read here. The devotee. So this devotee, he was very open-hearted, and sometimes he went to hear some lectures delivered by the great realized souls. At one such meeting, while he was very faithfully hearing about Vaishnava activities, he was informed that these activities can be performed even by meditation. So Vaishnava's activities are eternal. Devotional service, pure loving devotional service exhibited by the devotees of the Supreme Person, who is always in association with the Supreme Person, are all transcendental and eternal. Kaya importante that we follow a process that is transcendental, hindi gawa ng tao. At one such meeting, while he was very faithfully hearing about Vaishnava activities, he was informed that these activities can be performed even in meditation. In other words, if a person is unable to actually perform Vaishnava activities physically, he can meditate upon the Vaishnava activities and thereby acquire all the same result. Pag sinabi niyong Vaishnava activities, non-different from God. Transcendental. Hindi gawa ng tao. Kaya yung meditation na dinidescribe dito, hindi to speculation. It is about pure unalloyed devotional service, engage and the consciousness of the devotees who are serving the Supreme Person. Okay? Because the Brahmana was not very well to do financially, he decided that he would simply meditate on grand royal devotional activities. And he began this business thus. So nakarinig siya na pwede pala tayo mag-meditate upon the pastimes of Lord Krsna. For example, we always hear the narrative of our instructing spiritual master, wherein, for example, we remember the pastimes of Krsna, protecting the cowherd boys, driving away Kaliya from the lake, from the river Jamuna, from the lake. Okay? So you meditate upon that. It's not different from the holy names. And that pastimes is eternal. Ongoing. The pastimes of the Supreme Lord is ongoing eternally. But the pastimes here in this jungle of miserable jungle is not eternal. Because everything here does not exist in the spiritual world. This world of matter. Okay? Kaya anyone who tries to assist us and the process that he is giving us is not transcendental, eternal, based upon his mental concoction, imagination, or his idea of what his spiritual life is, it is not transcendental because it's contaminated by material nature, the three modes of material nature. And the person who uses the process to perpetuate his control is very dangerous. Okay? You use God now Dati, ikaw lang, you use matter, God's energy. Now, you use God to control people. But this kind of activities that this person is engaging in will not free us, but will also put us in this jungle, and we will not get out of this jungle when we are ignorant of the truth. That's why Lord Krishna tells us, one must hear from the seers of the truth so we can be understanding the truth. Okay? Hindi pwede yung bulag mag-guide sa atin. Only God can guide us to the transcendental world of loving devotional service and the pure loving servant of God. So now meron tayong criteria or category o timbangan para makita, ma-analyze sino yung susundin natin sa buhay natin. Okay? Kaya meron din tayong basihan kung yung sinusunod natin, if it's bona fide, yung epekto sa buhay natin. Pero hindi natin pwedeng i-blame kung bona fide yung pinapalo natin tapos hindi tayo nagme-make progress. Ibig sabihin, meron tayong mga ginagawa na contaminated pa rin ng material desires, hindi pa rin tayo liberated. Kaya we are always angry and frustrated, and then we begin to blame the process. Ba't tayo naghirap? Maraming ganun eh. Experience yan. Ang tagal ko nakikinig, chanting and everything. Lahat nakikinig ako. Then what happened? After a while, 10 taon na ako nagcha-chant. Nag-chant na lang ako na 1 linggo. Bago lang ako nag-chant 1 week. Pero miserable pa rin ako. Puro na lang kasaba. Puro kahirap. Yun ang gusto kong sabihin. In the beginning, the devotee, the spiritual master is very tolerant. Very tolerant. He persevered turuan yung student because he has so much compassion and love and care for you. So the spiritual master has so many works to do. Now, instead of trying to ascend to God and try to parang override, mas mabilis, we should be experiencing this transcendental meditation wherein we are liberated from material desires, and now the activities we're doing connects us with loving devotional service. It's connected with the glorifying the holy names of God. Kaya when you remember the pastimes of the devotees of God, it's inseparable from God. It's an eternal, transcendental pastime. Pero yung pastimes natin dito sa mundo, hindi eternal. May, halimbawa, akala mo anak mo, one time, may story sa scripture, ganito yan eh. Alam niyo yung, as you sow, you shall reap, or yung karma ba? Whatever state of mind you remember at the time of death, that state you will attain. So may isang mayaman na ama. Ang ginawa niya, ang yaman niya, talagang nagtrabaho siya to get so many things for his children. Nangyari, nag-pass away siya. In short, namatay. Kaso yung mind niya, nakapokus sa pamilya niya. Then bumalik siya. Alam nyo, pagbalik niya, kumatok siya sa bahay niya. Kasi ganun yung, alam niya, katok siya. Alam mo, pagkatok niya, yung anak niya, yung pamilya niya, hindi siya kilala. Hindi siya pinapasok. Kaya lahat ng ginagawa natin dito, hindi eternal, kung materialistic. Meaning, based upon meditation to control material nature. Based upon the false ego and the meditation to get, we are so entangled and attached to clinging to the material world, the forms we see in this world. Kaya, since you are all eternal, we've been here for so long, traveling, you had many, many parents, many, many brothers you cannot remember. Now you're here now. If you identify yourself as the body, you'll be identifying yourself as belonging to a certain nation, to a certain race, to a certain family. But when you leave the body, it's all gone. But if your meditation is about clinging to this world, to that, then you come back. But the problem is, you may not be having a human form of life because there are so many forms of life. 8,400,000 species, wherein whatever state of consciousness you have at the time you leave the body, that state you will attain. Kaya as you sow, you shall reap. Kung yung consciousness mo is animal life, you come back. Pwedeng nasa Pilipinas ka, akala mo Pilipino ka, pero Pilipinong baboy ka o kaya askal. Nasa katawan ka ng askal. Pero hindi mo na malaman. Diba? Marami kang askal na anak. O kaya marami ka ring piglet na native na baboy. Pilipinong baboy. Ha? So, this is a complex, intricate world because Maya confuses us. He confuses a person who tries to play God. No way will succeed. Kaya, our spiritual master gives us that light, and that light is about wisdom to understand the truth of our true purity, the divinity of the person and his or her affection that has been stopped and misdirected upon this world. We've forgotten our dear friend, the Supreme Person. Okay? Intindihan niya? Okay. Sometimes he would take his bath in the river Godavari. After taking his bath, he would sit in a secluded place on the bank of the river. And by practicing the yoga exercise of pranayam, the usual breathing exercise, he would concentrate his mind. These breathing exercises are meant to mechanically fix the mind upon a particular subject. That is a result of the breathing exercises and also the different sitting postures of yoga. Formerly, even quite ordinary person used to know how to fix the mind upon the remembrance of the Lord. And so the Brahmana was doing this. When he had fixed the form of the Lord in his mind, he began to imagine in his meditation that he was dressing the Lord very nicely in a costly clothing, with ornaments, helmets, and other paraphernalia. Then he offered his respectful obeisances by bowing down before the Lord. After finishing the dressing, he began to imagine that he was cleansing the temple very nicely. After cleansing the temple, he imagined that he had many water jugs made of gold, silver, and he took all those jugs to the river and filled them with holy water. Not only did he collect water from the Godavari, but he collected from the Ganges, Jamuna, Narmada, and Kaveri. Generally, a Vaishnava, while worshipping the Lord, collects water from all these rivers by mantra chanting. This Brahmana, instead of chanting some mantra, imagined that he was physically securing water from all these rivers in golden and silver water pots. Then he collected all kinds of paraphernalia for worship: flowers, fruits, incense, and sandalwood pulp. He collected everything to place before the deity. So yung meditation niya, in his meditation, in his mind, he meditates upon the transcendental, eternal activities of offering to the Lord. Hindi yung tumu-tumu. Yun ang kaibahan. Hindi yung gawa-gawa lang. Kagaya nung umalis nalaman nyo, di ba, nung umalis si Moses, si Moses, yung mga kasama niya, dahil pupunta siya sa bundok para kunin yung utos ng Panginoon Diyos. Kaya mga tao doon, inisip nila, well, let's worship. Gumawa sila ng mental imagination nila, gumawa sila ng worship nila na mga imahen, galing sa utak nila. Yung pinag-usapan natin dito is about the eternal transcendental pastimes of the Lord. Kaya nung diniscuss natin last time sa story natin, si Saksi Gopal nasa DT form. DT nasa temple, naging saksi siya at naglakad siya kasama ng devotee para i-prove na yung promise ng devotee. So yun yung potency ng Supreme Person. Hindi imagine lang na, naisip ko, gawa ko ng ganito, worship ko. Yung mind mo matter And matter cannot reach. You use your mind to speculate, to understand God, you'll go crazy. You become an agnostic. You think there is no God. But actually what you're saying, I am all-powerful, I've speculated for so long, since time immemorial, there is no God. Actually, you're God. I know everything, there is no God. He would daily execute. Then, all these water, flowers, and scented articles were then very nicely offered to the deities for their satisfaction. Then he offered arati with the regulative principle. He finished all these activities in the correct worshiping method. In the correct worshiping method. Kaya yung method ng deity worship, it is transcendental because it's coming down from Krishna. Hindi yung gawa-gawa lang natin, mag-worship tayo dito. Di ba? Dagdag natin dito, i-worship natin to, i-worship natin to. So sabi ni Krishna sa Bhagavad Gita, those who worship the demigods goes to the planets of the demigods. Those who worship the ancestor goes to the planets of the ancestor. May mga ganun wino-worship nila yung ancestor, lalo na sa China, Hong Kong. Those who worship the ghosts, they go to the planets of the ghosts. But those who worship me with love and devotion, they go to Vaikuntha. So, may result. Hindi pwedeng, kung ano yung nauukol, yun ang bubukol. Okay? Tindihan niya? What activities you do, may resultant. Halimbawa, kayo dito, tinuturuan kayo araw-araw. Madali na lang para mas madali. Sinasabi sa inyo, pag gising nyo sa umaga, maligo kayo, mag-toothbrush. So, hindi ka nagtutoothbrush araw-araw. So, anong nangyari sa bibig mo? Puro acid. Hurot imong ngipin. If you're not true to your teeth, then it will be false to you. Kasi hindi mo sinunod yung tinuturo. Kaya pustiso lahat ngipin mo. Hindi ka na, ako old age naman, may ngipin pa man ako, pero sa old age, nahuhulog na lang. So yun ang gusto kong sabihin. Not only that, pag may sakit nga sakit yung ngipin mo, lalo na Sunday, walang dentista. Gabi, anong gagawin mo? Hindi pwedeng lagyan mo lang ng mertayulet. Wala na bala? hindi pwede. Ang gagawin niya, bubunutin. Pero bakit nagsimula yung ganon? Kasi hindi ka nag-toothbrush, hindi mo inalagaan, at kumain ka ng marami, duminom ka lagi ng cooks. Na acidic. Di ba? So yun ang gusto kong sabihin sa inyo para maintindihan man nyo. Yung bata, alam niyo yung bata, iyak ng iyak, gusto niyang gawin yung gusto niya. Pero dahil alam niya hindi niya magagawa, lahat ng gusto niya magawa kasi lit-lit yun niya. Lalo na kung gumagapang pa lang siya, then he stops crying. So tayo, nakakalakad tayo sa katawan natin, nagagawa natin, dapat maintindihan din natin, maging matalino ba tayo? That even a child na anong gawin niya, iyak siya ng iyak, hindi niya makuha yung gusto niya. Mahirap. Para kasi tayong, alam mo yung dwarf, yung ano ba, dwarf? Duwende ba? Sinusubukan niyang tumalon, abutin yung moon. Maabot kaya niya? Sa katalon. So, di ba? Di ba, stupidity, di ba? So, balik tayo rito. He would daily execute similar performance in his routine work, and he continued to do so many years. Then one day, the Brahmana imagined in his meditation that he had prepared some sweet rice with milk and sugar and offered the preparation to the deity. Lahat ng ginagawa niya is connected with the process of pure devotional service. However, he was not very satisfied with the offering because the sweet rice had been prepared recently and still very hot. Pag nagluto sa imagination niya, meditation niya, nagluto siya ng sweet rice. Ano ba sweet rice? Sweet rice, ha? Na matamis. Oh, hindi yung putumaya. Sweet rice lang. Okay? Okay? So ginawa niya, hindi pa siya yung sweet rice kasi mainit pa. So yung sweet rice kasi kinakain niya nila ng malamig. The preparation of sweet rice should not be taken hot. The cooler the sweet rice, the better it tastes. So because the sweet rice had been prepared by the Brahmana very recently, he wanted to touch it so that he could know whether it was fit for eating by the Lord. As soon as he touched the sweet rice pot with his finger, he immediately was burned by the heat on the pot. So nangyari, ito yung nangyari. He's in meditation. Kaya makita nyo, yung Brahmana, nagising siya. Takita niya yung kamay niya na nag-touch sa sweet rice, sunog. Nagtaka siya, ba't nasunog? Hindi siya makakapang, ba't nasunog? Okay? So habang nabigla siya, nasunog yung daliri niya, pag-meditate niya, naging aware siya, nasunog yung kamay ko. While he was thinking like this, in Vaikuntha, Lord Krsna seated with the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, Lord Narayan, Lakshmi began to smile humorously. So si Krishna ngumiti. Pinanonood siya. On seeing this smiling of the Lord, all the goddesses of fortune attending the Lord became very curious and asked Lord Narayan why he was smiling. So si Lord Narayan, si Krishna is yung attendees, nag-attend sa kanya or all goddess of fortune. Associates niya who are serving him. Okay. The Lord, however, did not reply to their inquisitiveness, but instead immediately sent for the Brahmana. An airplane seat from Vaikuntha immediately brought the Brahmana into Lord Narayan's presence. When the Brahmana was thus present before the Lord and the goddess of fortune, the Lord explained the whole story. The Brahmana was then fortunate enough to get an eternal place in Vaikuntha in the association of the Lord and his Lakshmis. This shows how the Lord is all-pervading. Ibig sabihin, all-pervading. God is everywhere. He's outside of everything, inside of everything. He knows everything. He sees everything. He's all-knower. Kaya nung nag-o-offer yung devotee, nakikita niya. Yun ang God. Yun ang qualities ng Supreme Person. He can relate to all of you. Okay? To all of us. This shows how the Lord is all-pervading in spite of his being locally situated in his abode. Nandun siya pero nakikita niya lahat. Okay? Although the Lord was present in Vaikuntha, he was present in the heart of the Brahmana when he was meditating on worshiping process. Thus we can understand that the things offered by the devotees, even in meditation, are accepted by the Lord and they help one achieve the desired result. So the Lord is besides us. He's in our heart. Okay? So when you chant the holy names, our heart becomes purified. False ego is cut off. Material desire vanishes. And the living entity, you, are now able to come to the point of liberation and engage in activities of devotional service. Yun yung process na mayroon tayo ngayon. That's yung study program natin. Pinakita lang rito, the Brahmana who is in meditation because Krishna knows his heart. So yung process ng devotional service is about your love inseparable from you. All of us, what we discuss, loving service. Yun ang religion. Happiness and joy is inseparable from you. Kasi yun yung, the living entity is joyful by nature. Kaya lang hindi naging joyful yung buhay natin kasi ang yakap natin ay the source of misery, and our meditation is the source of misery, and we're in this jungle, we cannot get out. And the burden now that covers us, shackles us, is the mind. We are imprisoned by our focus and meditation, yung lust, anger, and greed. Okay? So you must cut the cause, the root that leads us to this hellish jungle. Lust, anger, and greed. Meaning, our meditation, our focus must be in harmony with what is divine, our eternal transcendental nature and activities, in harmony with doing the will of God. So the Brahmana is in harmony with the desire of God. So when Lord Krishna tells us, if one offers me with love and devotion, I will accept it. A little fruit, a little water, a leaf, with love and devotion. So yung Brahmana, he knows he's poor. And he understands because of his past misdeed, karma niya, he's not anxious for material things. Because he knows, the devotee knows, that no matter what happens, no matter what endeavor we do, there is already a certain amount of suffering and happiness that will come upon us because of our previous activities. No matter what we do, it's already there. The karma, the reaction, we will experience that. Kaya, what we should do now is to get out of this jail. And it's very hard to get out of this jail when our meditation, our focus, is based upon our own will and our own enjoyment because we're not the supreme enjoyer. Why? Because we're not self-sufficient. We're not all-powerful. We're not in control. So what happened? We will be dictated. We will be encumbered by what we meditate upon. And it's about enjoying this material world. Then we're embracing now this jungle of miserable existence. Is it understood? So the process in Kali Yuga is Harinama, to draw the mind away from matter and connect us with the will and the embrace of Krishna, the Supreme Person. And what we do every day, we discuss about the narrative that is given to us, the pastimes of Lord Krishna, purifies our heart, purifies our mind, our whole being. Then we are able to appreciate and connect our life, our activities in dovetailing it in humbleness to do the will of God. What is sweet? Material life, trying to play Lord, in the beginning, it seems very sweet. After a while, it becomes bitter and painful. You look what you experience in this world. You put your love upon someone, that person leaves. You put your meditation upon this body, then after sometimes you begin to, your focus is about enjoying. Live today because you die tomorrow. You become a hedonist, a narcissist. What happened? What if the body is destined to experience disease, old age, and death? And you identify with it. Then somewhere along the line, you find out, oh, he died. What's the cause? He did just that. He got bumped by the motorcycle. He has cancer. Yeah? Cancer of the bones, cancer of the brain. He's diabetic. Or his kidney problem. So the body breaks down. And your meditation is about this dead body that is destined to become old. You know? It's already there, and you identify with it. But if you identify and understand your true transcendental nature, you're just passing by. You'll become the witness, and your heart and meditation will be upon Krishna. And you're protected. Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Naminehi, Gora Karuna Swarupaya,
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Nandini, Gora Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Krsna